Alright, Shalom Makyam. I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rekah Kodash, for allowing me to do another lesson. Yahweh is who the world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh Shai is his son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, and there's no God beside him. I want to give double honors to the elder bishops, the elder apostles, and the elder bishops of Great Millstone for being faithful witnesses to the Holy Spirit, and shalom to the elect, whom the Most High have given ears to hear. In today's lesson, I want to go into lamp trimming and the days of old, or the days to come, rather. Alright, it's very important to make sure our lamps are trimmed. As Yahweh Shai told us in Matthew 25, right, how the wise virgins, when they heard the cry that the Lord was returning, they trimmed their lamps to be ready for him. Right? This is Matthew 25, verse 1. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them, but the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. The foolish said unto the wise, Give us your oil, for our lamps are going out. But the wise answered, saying, Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you, but go ye rather to them that sell and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. Alright, so those that were ready, which are known as the wise virgins, alright, took oil in their vessels, in their lamps. Alright, because when you go into an oil lamp, right, which an oil lamp was used before you had light bulbs. Now it says an oil lamp is a lamp used to produce light continuously for a period of time using an oil-based fuel source. The use of oil lamps began thousands of years ago and continues to this day. Although their use is less common in modern times, they work in the same way as a candle, but with fuel that is liquid at room temperature, so that a container for the oil is required. A textile wick drops down into the oil and is lit at the end, burning the oil as it is drawn up the wick. Now, as you see to the right of the screen, you have different kind of oil lamps, right? As far as the one that's most prevalent in the book of Matthew 25, it will be this one at the bottom. Now, let me see. I think I have another picture. You see this one that's, by Walmart, right? If I could zoom in. Now that's the wick, the white thing. It's a textile wick, and at the bottom you have the oil. And as long as this lamp is filled with oil, the wick will be saturated with oil and can do its job. All right, which is bring light. So it says, oil lamps are a form of lighting and were used as an alternative to candles before the use of electrical lights. Starting in 1780, the argan lamp quickly replaced other lamps still in their basic ancient form. These in turn were replaced by the kerosene lamp in about 1850. In small towns and rural areas, the latter continued in use well into the 20th century. In such areas were finally electrified and light bulbs could be used. All right. Jumping down, it says most modern lamps, such as fuel lanterns, have been replaced by gas-based or petroleum-based fuse to operate when emergency non-electric light is required. Therefore, oil lamps of today are primarily used for the particular ambience they produce. Right? Point being is that they're still held in high esteem as far as emergency non-electric light is required. Whereas in this world, for the most part, everyone uses what? Bulbs. Bulbs are ran off of electricity. Electricity is more so of a modern occurrence. All right, and if you liken it unto the parable that Yahushua gave us in Matthew 25, the wisdom of this world would be known as electricity. All right, however, the time is going to come where the wisdom of this world will come to naught. All right, as it already does. You know, when you see, brothers using the scriptures to combat a pastor, that learned his teachings from a seminary school. All right, whereas that's considered the wisdom of men, the wisdom of this world. The Bible itself speaks against the wisdom of this world. All right, King Solomon himself, when you go into his teachings, he always, in his teachings, right, in the book of Ecclesiastes, it says, "These are the words of the teacher, King David's son, who ruled in Jerusalem." All right, now he starts off with saying, "Everything is meaningless," says the teacher, which this is in Ecclesiastes 1 verse 2 in the NLT. "Everything is meaningless," says the teacher, "completely meaningless." Now when you read, which the book of Ecclesiastes has 12 chapters, right? When you read throughout the book of Ecclesiastes, he goes into the ways of man upon earth, and he basically always comes to the same conclusion. All right, whether it be a man that's in power, a man that's whose mindset is to get money, a man whose mindset is to look after his family, which that's the wisdom of this world. All right, you see, the Bible, as many people would like to believe or would have you believe that it's outdated, is a timeless book. All right, when you read it, it's as if King Solomon walked through time and he's seen the ways of every man. All right, and I say it's as if because Solomon was speaking on the wisdom of men, or the wisdom that he learned in his day. However, as the scriptures say, even in the same book, it says that there's nothing new under the sun. So the things that men were doing back then is the things that men are doing today. All right, which their mindset is to what? Get money. You know what I'm saying? Build upon themselves. All right. Get all they can out of that particular life. Whereas King Solomon, who was King Solomon was the richest man that ever lived. So he had the woman, he had the riches, he had the things that men covet after on the earth. But he concludes that everything is meaningless. All right, completely meaningless. And at the end of the day, right, which you're gonna grab that's Ecclesiastes 12. Right, at the end of the day, he says what? That's the whole story. All right, so he's going through life. He's going through, all right, man's man's actions, but your actions is display, or your actions display your thoughts. Then he says what? That's the whole story. Here now is my final conclusion. Fear God and obey his commands, for this is everyone's duty. Now the commands of the Lord are displayed in the Bible. Alright? So the conclusion thereof is to fear Yahweh Shem Yahushai and go after his ways. Alright? Which will be, again, when we bring it back to an oil, alright, which his word is oil. Alright? We bring it back to the oil lamps or candles, which is basically the same thing. It's just hardened oil. Alright? And then you have the wick, which you light the wick and it travels throughout the oil. Alright? Without the wick or without the oil, or without the wax rather, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't bring its light. You know? And when the wisdom of this world or the lights go out, which they definitely will, alright, you're gonna wish you had another source of light, alright, to keep you warm in the wintertime, to allow you to continue to see. Alright, what's the men of the Lord, alright, the elect, you know, the hopeful elect, which we hope to be. Right now, you know, we're filling up on this oil, this word. So we're in emergency situations and lights out situations that's definitely coming. We'll still be able to see. Right? Is it not written in Isaiah 33 verse 6 that wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time and strength of salvation? I believe it says that in Proverbs 6. Let me see. Bear with me, Akim. I can't remember where it's at. I thought it was in Proverbs 6. Let's see. But it speaks about how like the word is a lamp. I can't exactly remember how it goes, but you know, this word is a lamp. You know, this word is a light. This word is a lamp. You know, Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Oh, okay, right here, the water. Why do Yahweh Shem Yahushai? It says Proverbs 6 and 23, for the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. Okay? And hey, the most important prophecy which is coming to pass, alright, is written of in Revelations 13 and 16, which the Lord especially tells us not to take it. The commandments tell us that thou shalt not make any cuttings of thy flesh, nor should you trust your enemy ever. Okay? It was another one. Okay. Almost forgot it. Baruch chapter 4 verse 1. This is the book of the commandment of God and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. Alright? Whereas life as we know it is orchestrated off of electricity. Alright? That's the modern world. But again, when all hell breaks loose and the electricity or the wisdom of this world falls away, what can you live off of? Alright? Turn thee, O Jacob, and take hold of it, walk in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated. Okay? So now I want to go into a lamp trimmer. All right, so now we see that a lamp is very important. So how much more a person that attends to the lamp? All right, which Yahweh Hashem Yahushua has given the people prophets. You know, he has given Israel seers. All right, he's given them, as Yahushua called them, the light of the world. All right, very important to have these men. All right, and without them, like it says in the book of Samuel, you know, the world was dim. You know, wickedness increased. You know, without these men, without the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. It says lamp trimmer, which a lamp trimmer was a specialist position on board ships that involved maintaining oil lamps. And might I add, when you go into the construction world today, the two most important trades are the masons and the electricians. You know, I'll say the masons and the electricians, and the what do you call those people that operate the cranes? You know, but the ones that are first on the job are the masons. All right. Well, first you have the surveyors to make sure the land is good. Then you have the masons, you know, that build out the foundation. All right, they build out the structure. And then you have the electricians that bring power into the building so everybody else can do what they got to do. All right. So every way you look at it, in the ancient world or in today, you know, a person who brings light is a very important person. So it says, in the days when light came from burning oil and lamps, a vessel at sea needed crewmen to constantly care for the lamps. This care involved trimming the wick, which drew the oil up from the storage reservoir so that the flame would be clean and bright. So again, when we go into that picture, the wick will be in the top portion of the lamp. All right, and it had to be, as you see right here, it had to be we're gonna go into it. It had to be a certain it had to have a certain cut. That's pretty good. As you see the top of the wick, it had to have a certain cut. This is a more primitive kind of wick. Nevertheless, it shows the same thing. Or I guess more contemporary, you would say. This one by Etsy. All right, we're reading on. It says in the days when light came from burning oil and lamps, a vessel at sea needed crewmen to constantly care for the lamps. This care involved trimming the wick, which drew the oil up from the storage reservoir so that the flame would be clean and bright. Lamp trimmers also refilled the reservoirs, which held enough oil for several hours of burning. Right? Now, does not the scripture say that we're going to go through several hours of temptation, to where we're going to need oil to withstand that great day, the dark days? Yahweh told us in Revelations 3 to be faithful 10 days and I will give thee a crown of life. But not enough to start a major fire if the lamp were to be knocked over or damaged somehow. As vessels became larger, the number of lamp trimmers increased significantly because the only lighting below decks came from lamps. You know, which is heavy because as Israel is scattered throughout all four corners of the earth, we need more workers. You know, so that's pretty heavy. When I say workers, I'm talking about brothers out there, all right, as lights of the world. The position of the lamp trimmer was so entrenched into marine tradition that electricians were called lamp trimmers for years after oil lamps had been completely replaced. The skill part of being a lamp trimmer was the ability to trim a wick in such a way that it would burn evenly without hot spots, so that it would not need attention again for some time. A poorly trimmed wick created a flame which is dim and smoky. You know, and goes to show you how, you know, guys that don't have this truth is actually a problem. All right, because something that's dim and smoky is actually what causing more of a hindrance than a help. All right, whereas you can't go to it for light. All right, the foolish virgins, and it's smoky. So not only that you can't go to it for light, but you know you're choking up those who come around you. A properly trimmed wick should come to a rounded point, or should be wedge shaped. You know, or like a when you think of wedge shape, you would think like the tip of an ice cream. You know, a properly trimmed wick should come to a rounded point or should be wedge shaped. When lit, the wick should burn clearly all the way up to the highest flame it can make. The flame should be at least the width of the wick and even, not ragged. All right. So, point of the lesson is to make sure your lamps are trimmed. All right. All right. For that's going to be the strength of salvation. Let's finish it there. Actually. Isaiah chapter 33 verse 6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation, the fear of Yahweh is his treasure. All right, the fear of Yahweh is his treasure. So with that, shalom to the elect.